Hey guys, Jumper here. Been a hot minute. Yeah, I'm back from the dead. Sorry, I have been having a lot of life stuff and doing a lot of things. I'm such an ADHD Andy. I have to take a minute to kind of talk about this to you guys. I'm such an ADHD Andy. Excuse the mess in my room if it looks very messy, but I worked on this in my life recently, just to catch you guys up before we get into today's video, that I made basically in the reminder app on Samsung, I made like, look how many reminders I have every day to remind myself, do this, do that, do that. Because, I mean, it's a bit of laziness, but it's a bit of like, I get carried away in one scenario of like either helping a friend over Discord or doing this or doing that. And that just needs to stop. And reality is that I have a life and I need to make a schedule and I need to fulfill it. So that being said, I am hopefully going to start making more videos soon. So what are you going to see on this channel? More of that I've actually should have been promising in the past. Video essays. I'm not going to say what my next video essay is going to be. The ReZero dissertation essay is definitely still happening. Still hard at work on that one. That's basically just a lot of scripting going on behind the scenes there. I want to do a video essay on a anime series I've been watching recently, so just hang tight on that. But there's going to be a lot of different video essays I might do stuff on. This is a video essay that I'm not going to do on now because it's not as relevant, of Squid Game Season 2. I was thinking about doing one on that one. I think it's just not as relevant. If you still want to see that, fuck it, maybe I'll do it. You know, at this point, I haven't done YouTube in a bit, so, you know, if people had died and gone away, I don't even blame them. So, I'm just here to fulfill my ReZero fans out there, and also because I just want to actually refresh my brain, because it's now Monday, and I'm 2 days away now from getting the new episode of Episode 9 of Season 3. Super stoked. I love ReZero. Everybody knows it's my favorite anime. The fucking poster in the back speaks for itself. Like, literally this poster, don't kill me, Tape, isn't like I don't think that's the actual poster exactly, because what I did was I got that PNG online and then went to Etsy and had someone do a custom one and then bought the fucking poster frame. Like, I just wanted to do that because I think I couldn't do it at the time when it first happened at the Anime Expo because it was in Japan. Yeah, that was the reason why, and I'd have to get it like imported into the US to get it from Japan or something like that. Like, I couldn't get it essentially, so I just did that, and yeah, fucking I've had that poster for like I think a year and a half now or something like that. It's kind of crazy, and I didn't hang it up for the longest time, and I think it's like slightly crooked. We don't talk about that. I thought it wasn't, but I think it actually is slightly crooked, which is kind of funny. Anyway, done rambling about my life. I hope you put a little trust in me, and hopefully I do make more videos soon. The plan is essentially after I get off work, I do work a normal day job. 8 to 5 doesn't mean it's not stressful, because it has its own mental kind of stress to it. I don't really want to go into it. But in a separate side announcement, you'll see I'm going to put it at the top pinned comment in the top of the description. I'm going to have a tech support channel. Yeah, it's something I'm still in the works on. You may see some videos from it for that channel specifically later this week, just maybe some beginner kind of videos, but I plan on doing a lot of different kind of styles in that channel, like tech support, just home lab stuff, networking, etc. Like, just so many different kinds of like topics to cover, tech related, on that channel. It's just something I've been wanting to do. I'm separating it from my main channel. I wasn't thinking about posting about it here, but actually I'm just going to do it because I'm also going to reference my main channel backlink both ways. My main channel is going to become basically just like a anime only channel, maybe some gaming if I feel like it, like maybe gaming live streams, but maybe if I feel like it, but it's mostly just going to be like a just homage to like how I feel about the anime I enjoy and stuff like that, because I've just gone to just not be really like into the gaming side of YouTube anymore, like at least posting content on it, because I don't find it intriguing anymore. And the anime side just really brings out this writer side in me, and which is another thing I'll bring up in a different video. But if you don't know, I am technically a published author. I don't want to go into that because the draft that currently exists out there in the world for that novel is actually like null basically at this point, because I've rewritten the story so much. But I actually homage and respect to Tape for giving me the it's not even really Tape's idea, but it technically is, but many people do these things called web novels, but because I learned of web novels because of, you know, Which Cool Translations, which does the translation of the web novel from the Japanese version, I'm pretty sure. Someone could correct me in the comments if I'm wrong about that. But anyway, my point is, I don't read any of those, but I know of the website because I'm such a big ReZero fan. I want to do pretty much the exact same thing, probably a little bit easier. I think when I looked at one of the web novels once in like Arc 1 or Arc 2, it was like a PDF, and I'm like, what the fuck, dude? I don't know. I'm not a fan of that kind of style. If they still do that, then whatever. I would rather, I mean, yeah, I think I'll give both options to people, like, so they can download the PDF if they wish, if that wants to be, somebody wants that to be a thing, but I would rather it be more interactive, like with discussion, comments, and etc. Like, that's what it's going to be. It's like basically a rough draft on my website, just like, boom, right there. I'll give you more details on that later. Basically, the whole reminder app thing, and the reason I'm talking about my life is, before we get into this video, is because it's going to really have to do with a big change of me putting a lot more content out there, because I'm going to be spending a lot more time doing it and forcing myself to do it. Forcing sounds like really bad, but I need a distraction. I don't want to go into details. Maybe I will at some point. But anyway, if you guys want to see like gaming live streams and other things like that at some point, maybe I will, but it's not something I'm going to be striving for on this channel. That being said, let's get into talking about ReZero. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be talking about things that I suspect or expect in the next half of Season 2. Or Season 3, I can't talk. Season 3, what I expect in Season 3. There's a lot of things I expect. I wanted to kind of go through the first episode and talk about all the things I very much enjoyed, and some things I've definitely seen. So, the animation, I fucking love it in Season 3, right? They've done a good job. There's been a couple mistakes I've realized I didn't see until now. One of this frame being that one, like Betty doesn't have a hand here. That's kind of goofy, if you kind of think about it. But it's not a huge deal. The reality is, I'm realizing they cut corners with the animation in the beginnings of this season and throughout part 1 of Season 1, because the way Arc 5 is written, at least the way I'm suspecting it to be written, I suspect, and the way people have been alluding, is that Arc 5, the second half, the counterattack arc we're about to witness, is just gonna have a shit ton of fucking action. Like, literally every episode will probably just be filled with action, at least until, like, maybe the last episode to cap off the arc, maybe. Or maybe even the last half of the final episode, which is technically episode 16. It should be 16. Which then, at that point, there might even just be a break, and it'd be like, hey guys, here's Core 3, by the way, Arc 6, starting now. That's the theory that's supposed to be happening by a credible leaker named Ice. I'm ranting at this point. The point is that the animation looks so good in that trailer. I might just have to actually pull up that trailer, but at some point, maybe I will. I'll pause and come to it. But just, that's something just me looking back on now. This animation looks good, but the animation, the art, and like the line art and a few other things, it doesn't seem like they really cut corners in that trailer. Now, is that going to be consistent throughout the episode? That's a great question. Speaking of, there's also a couple things that I've heard about that's possibly, like, not censorship for a very goofy fucking scene that's possibly going to happen. I'm not really spoiled about the contents other than the fact that Booba exists. Some things I think that's very interesting, going back on topic, though, is a lot of this season does look very good. I'd say consistently, compared to Season 1, this is even more consistent than Season 2's animation, which is nice because it's very, very enjoyable to watch. Like, it's enjoyable. I'm not saying Season 2 was a slideshow, because it's definitely not, but because the dialogue and a lot of other things I think take precedence over the animation. But, you know, you take things as how they are. I mean, right now, ReZero has a lot of other strengths other than just the animation, at least in my opinion, and that's why it's one of my favorites, even though the animation is just a benefit. I do think that it looks really good. One thing here that I do think it's really goofy, they fixed this, probably this stuff in Director's Cut, like Subaru not having his whip on his hip here, even though when you get a side back panel of this here in a second, once I get to it, you can see his hip, the whip right there. Like, It's probably because it's more tucked behind his ass. I think that's the reason why his ass more tucked behind his ass. Actually, that now that I think about it, that does make sense, because in episode 6, I think he reached behind his ass to grab his whip. Yeah, so actually, no, that's not a mistake. So I take that back. I retract that. But I don't know. This episode's very good. It does a lot of setup, like an extremely amount of setup of like, you know, hey, this is who's everybody here. You know, I still can't get over the whole thing with Garf and Elsa. I think it's great. A lot of people like undermine and don't understand the importance of this plot, because the reality is Garf is just a kid and he killed somebody, and that has brought trauma into his life. And I mean, we don't know about obviously the, you know, time skip if he actually has fought anybody since then, but it would make so much sense if you think about it. If he hasn't fought anybody since then, that why he's getting PTSD. I mean, he kind of just squared up a little bit with Reinhardt, and you know, and now he feels weak, and because of that weakness that was exposed, because he fought against Reinhardt. When I say that, really big quotation marks, because you know, when you fight against Reinhardt, it's really quotation marks. Now, I'm interested about Regulus, but we'll get to that later. Point is, bro's, you know, self-esteem went right out the fucking door. And when that happened, it kind of exposes that PTSD. I'm not really much of a psychological person, but I love one person I'll shout out to him. He's a really great YouTuber, and I watch his videos and his breakdowns, Psychotrist. Really great guy. Fucking shout out to him. Like, he's goated at his ReZero, like, breakdowns, and, you know, he kind of feels a lot about how I feel about ReZero. It's kind of crazy. You know, but I would say with Garf, like, I think that's something that's highly undermined. People go, what the hell? Is he like just seeing shit? It's like, dude, do you not know what PTSD is? Like, just because this is a fantasy doesn't mean that's not a concept in this world. It is a concept. And, you know, other than Garf having a bit of it, obviously Subaru's a different story. I mean, he's the main character, so he's going to have a bit of that because of, you know, Return by Death. But, you know, with Garf, it's a different story. So it was interesting to see that. It was very good. Not undermining Subaru's PTSD, by the way. Just gonna put it out there. Definitely not. If anyone who really likes Subaru, it's me, because he's like my favorite character in the entire show. And story. Like, I don't think that'll change. I don't think I like somebody more than Subaru. I'm just gonna be completely honest. That's just my personal preference, in my opinion. Also, let's see. What else am I thinking of? I think we kind of want to move past this episode. One thing I was thinking the other day. Sorry, I'm really ranting at this point, but I don't even care at this point. That's what this is. It's just me theorizing and shit. I realized that this scene here, I don't hear the music right now, but I'm gonna hear this music. 1 second. It's probably a little before this. Listening. 1 second. Yeah, there it is. Here's this. I don't know if this is a song shift. The OST. By the way, Kenichi Suhiro, goated OST guy. Like, he makes such amazing music to like make these scenes so much better in ReZero. Like, I don't really know how to go into detail without just saying the guy's goated. Like, literally the OST in a lot of these scenes elevate it way more than you think it does. Like, I could feel the tension for like when Wilhelm's talking about him and Reinhardt and what caused the rift between them. That music really elevated that scene. Subaru's reaction, the whole thing in general, Wilhelm feeling remorseful about it. But that OST actually played. That was the same OST when he talked about Teresia being one of the two masked cultists, you know, that are being manipulated by the corpse art that basically controls dead bodies because, you know, she's dead. Teresia has been dead for 10 years. Same with the 8-armed Turgan guy. I can't remember his name. I'm sorry, I might butcher that. But yeah, point is that I think it's interesting because we've had two key moments between, you know, especially when they were alone, where Subaru and Wilhelm talked and the same OST played. Like, that's kind of cool. ReZero does a lot of symbolism there with that, and I really like that. It's like, okay, earlier they were talking about this, and him and Reinhardt have gone like a little bit forward in the family. Like they haven't exactly come to terms with each other yet, but they're on talking terms again. That's a step in the right direction, right? Like they weren't in those terms before. And now what's different instead is that now Wilhelm, he cares so much for his grandson, he's actually withholding the information about Teresia because he doesn't want him to be hurt by that, which is actually valid. And like, you know, I mean, it's, I think whether people can, you know, agree whether Wilhelm's in the right or wrong there, I feel like he's in the right, but, you know, obviously that's a subjective opinion, and people can be biased about that, especially Wilhelm. He may think he's right, but, you know, Reinhardt's probably, I can already tell he's gone through quite a bit, so, you know, he's really just trying to spare him from the pain, from the extra pain. So, the reality is, I think that's just such an interesting thing that I just didn't really realize till I had, like, kind of skimmed through episode 1 the other day. Not that I, like, normally skim through episodes, excuse me, but I'm, like, trying to, like, you know, preparing myself for this video somewhat. This is really ad-libbed at this point, so, very good episode, though. Of course, we get to the Heinkel moment. Sorry, this is a really big episode to go through, so I'm really trying to skim through it so we can get to the other ones, because there's a lot I gotta say about the other ones. And this is stuff I've wanted to say before, and the reason why is it's a little harder for me to talk about it when I'm in a group setting reacting with my friends, which that's a different thing I'll go into later. I still want to do that personally. The reality is, I think I'll be making, like, breakdown videos the day after I make the video, or make a breakdown after I'm done reacting with my friends. That I'm deciding on what I want to do yet, so you'll see that. I'm going to try to do this more. This is me trying to make up for not doing that. So this is my theory before part 2 of season 3 begins. So that, yeah, I'm ranting again. I'm sorry. I've just not been into the swing of things with YouTube. So, uncut, opinion to opinion, I really still like the interactions between Subaru and Julius. It's great. Once we get to the introduction of Sirius, I don't know if there's really much else to say about this other than the revealing of her power, you know? You know, I think I've already said it before, the reason why Subaru said he was sick here is because, well, one, I mean, bro hasn't died in a while, and two, you know, he felt all those emotions, like, and he was kind of forced to feel those emotions and remembers that. I mean, those people in those failed timelines, they're dead for good. I mean, if it's in a failed timeline, regardless of whether people believe it's a failed timeline or not, where he's really rewriting, you know, time itself, whether people want to believe that he has separate timelines or not, you know. I mean, it's not exactly proven exactly yet or confirmed yet in the novels as far as I know. It was alluded at, but it was more of like just Echidna teasing at Subaru in the trials. But let's say that there are separate timelines. I mean, those people are just dead, dude. And, I mean, of course, obviously Subaru is too, but in that timeline. But the reality is Subaru carries on that memory of that situation. And, I mean, I bet he feels extremely disgusted by it. So, if we move on to the next episode, it's really hard for me to go through this next part, but I'm going to anyway, because, you know, it's a little jarring. It was jarring for me as a first-time watcher to have seen Subaru die that much that quickly. You know? Yeah, and he hadn't died in so long, you know, he didn't think he had died. And he just kind of went off on his own. I mean, you think Subaru had learned, but then he did learn after the first time, you know? And we have this first scene where he tries, you know, and he finds Lucebell, and then, oh god, that frame, dude, it fucking hurts, dog. It fucking hurts, man. It fucking hurts, dude. That is some good ass animation, but it hurts, dude. Dude, it is rough to look at. But you know, like that scene felt like 5 minutes, dude. But it was how long in the runtime? I mean, the runtime was 5 minutes, but the OP is 1:30 of that, dude. And 2 minutes of that, like 1:50, maybe not 1:50, but 1:20 was probably a little bit of the build-up of the dialogue. Yeah, see, Subaru 1:30-ish before the opening. Like, that shit did not last long at all. Like, he died pretty quickly. That was very... Whoa. Dude, that was rough. Oh, boy. But, you know, he calls on Reinhardt. That's interesting, you know. And then that doesn't go well, which I also wasn't really surprised by that. How Subaru died did surprise me because I wasn't really thinking too much about the fact that her power connects everybody because of the Wrath effect, which is still technically true. And I'll go into some of my theories on that in a bit. But what's so interesting is that was his last death. Subaru has not died since that point. And that is such a feat, which is going to go into my theory, a hard theory I have for part 2. We'll get into that in a minute. But really going past all of this episode, it's very interesting to me. Also the fact that, you know, one side comment here, I really want to see more Subaru and Beatrice fucking interactions, because Subaru using Byakuya as like a jetpack is so cute. I fucking love that, dude. But I will say though, the fact that Regulus invited Subaru to the wedding and he kind of forgot, I wanted to at least bring that up and realize that he had invited him. I want Regulus to admit he at least, you know, remembers him, because if he doesn't, that's just, Regulus is just so fucking full of himself. Especially when Subaru did, you know, introduce his name. We get further here. We haven't, what's crazy is with episode 3, we haven't seen Lai since this episode, I'm almost positive. Because this is when Otto runs into him. Otto gets away from him because of the, I'm trying to remember what their names are, but it's the town guards, basically. I'll remember them in a minute, but... Anyway, I'm trying to skip ahead here a little bit. This doesn't really have too much to do with my theories, that's why I'm kind of like skipping ahead, trying to remind myself of some stuff. One theory I want to remind everybody of is that Garf's stepdad, I guess you could say, this guy up here in the left, this guy here, I think that guy is the dragon in episode 5. I don't think there's too much sustenance in 4 I'd want to go over. Actually, there is. I lied. And there is. Because in this episode, we do get to see a bit of the escalation of everything, you know. Mimi situation happens. Everybody learns about Capella and her second announcement. We learn about, you know, what's her face? I remember her name. It's a witch. The witch that did get sealed beneath the city. It's on the tip of my tongue right now. I know it was the Witch of Pride. Oh my god, it's on tip of my tongue. Go a bit further. It'll tell us. Oh yeah, that's right. Typhon. However you want to pronounce that. See, look, even though I'm trying to jog my memory right now. It's been like a couple months, and a lot of was really fresh in my brain, and now it's not. I really like the attention to detail with Ricardo catching like Garfield's attention here, and realizing, you know, hey man, you know, come on, let's kick their ass. And he kind of explained it to him, and he's gonna kick their ass. You know, and it's nice to see that. This I find very interesting still to this day, is that Subaru, despite all the pain, he's going with everybody, and he's moving along, you know. Still find it sus that Al knows about gluttony, but, you know, we haven't seen anything that confirms why he knows that information, but it's still weird to me. The interaction, I just wanted to side comment. This interaction between Subaru and Gluttony, absolutely fucking amazing. Like, I loved that interaction, I loved the music. I want more interactions between the two of them, and I feel like we're gonna get that, but it's just not at this minute. Not this early into everything. So, episode 5, a really good episode. We get into episode 5, and we do get the interaction between Subaru and Gluttony. And, you know, they didn't say their names in front of Gluttony, so Gluttony doesn't know any of their names, any of the three of them. Subaru moves on. Here's the dragon that I was talking about that I think that is Garf's stepdad, or whoever that guy is. I think it's him, because he was at the Capitol. And also his eyes are blue, and the dragon's eyes are blue, which is a very, you know, that doesn't really, there's not much, you know, validity to the theory, but, you know, I think that's the dragon, but we haven't seen anything from the dragon since then, so I don't know if that's really going to be confirmed or not. I don't think there's really anything important I'd want to go over with Capella's stuff, because I've said it in my other video, I think. One thing I guess I'll make a side comment that was clarified to me, which makes sense, is Capella transformed into Amelia because she can basically envision the person you love, and that's what Subaru, in Subaru's mind, is. It looks like Amelia, essentially, you know? The one thing I really liked about this whole interaction between Capella and Subaru is there was, and obviously Krush being right there as well, is before we got to the jump cut of them fighting the witch cultists, the hooded witch cultists, which we know who they are now, there was no, like, cut and jar in the action, you know, like, we learned so much with that Capella situation. It was, like, basically half the episode, basically. And it was a really good introduction to a Sin Archbishop. And, you know, the other ones, I mean, especially even the one for Wrath, of course. So here we go with Wrath, and then we learn about... Where are those guys' names? Okay, maybe they're not going to be here. Maybe we'll get to Otto here in a second, and, White Dragon Scales, that's what they're called. The White Dragon Scales saved Otto out of the situation, but we haven't seen Lai since then, so I'm curious. I think I saw him in the trailer. Don't quote me on that. We're going to go to the trailer in a minute. We're going to get there soon. But I don't know. I'm not really sure what to expect. And honestly, I really expected at episode 5, when Subaru fell in the water, I really expected, if not at that moment, he was going to return by death or die just soon. I thought he was going to die by drowning, possibly. But he didn't. Subaru still has not died by drowning. Tape, please stop torturing this boy. Please, please, please. Motherfucker, please, please, please don't torture him. So if we continue on, we learn about the curses fighting in Subaru's body. Basically, the, you know, Mob Beast ones, and the Mob Beast dogs and the Dragon Blood curse were fighting over Subaru's body, and that's why he healed and regenerated. And that's why, you know, he's fine. And that doesn't mean he regens everywhere, you know, but it's still cool. We go a bit further, we learn about Wrath's influence and what it's done on the city. Even Subaru falls influence to it real quick, but we learn Liliana and Priscilla can mitigate that. Mostly Liliana. Because of her divine protection, which we learned in episode 8, which we'll get to. We learned a bit about the plot. I think we're going to learn more about it in this next episode, but with all the sub-wives and all that, are we going to see more development there and like the aspect of saving them? I'm not too sure. Well, we'll see. Interesting face from Subaru. Still can't get over this frame. It's funny. Once we move past this, I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah, this is where Subaru tells them about everything and explains to them his next plan of action, and yeah. Then he does his beautiful speech, which we're gonna get into that episode, and then we're gonna talk about some of my theories. I'm kind of just refreshing my memory right now, and making side comments. So I appreciate y'all's patience. So I apologize. It's very uncut, just into the grid of it. I still can't get over how this interaction was just, you know, and Subaru explaining why they think the media's there, and he wants Anastasia to do the, you know, speech, but then to calm everybody down, hopefully, because that's, you know, what amplified Wrath's power. But then it's like, no, Subaru, you're like probably the best person to do this because Garfield says that. And then, you know, people think this is a whole gassing up Subaru moment, and I mean, maybe, but it's a very good moment here because we learn about the gravity of the situation because of what Al said. I didn't really think about it too much, but because of what Al said, you realize that he's putting a target on his back. I mean, he technically already is because of Amelia being a half-elf, but an even larger target on his back as a person because he's going to basically declare war on the witches cult and be like, hey, I fucking killed Sloth Bitch and I'm coming for your ass. Pretty much that's what he's pretty much what he's saying in his speech. He's not giving up, you know, and which is a very beautiful thing. And we see a very good trailage of just, I love that bit so much. And then Subaru just says, well, hell, it's just another day, man. It's just another day. And he's just bro's just the goat. really great speech in general, and lead up to the speech is just the conversation itself. I really thoroughly enjoy the speech, but I almost want to say equally enjoyed the conversation leading up to it. Sorry, my dog. I very much enjoyed the conversation, you know, leading up to that leading up to the speech itself. But the speech itself is great too, because Subaru, you know, he talks just like how a person that is empathizing with people should talk. I'm going to tell you, you know, I'm not going to start out selfishly saying, hey, I'm the best person in the world, this is my name, yada, yada, yada. I'm going to tell you what we need to get done here. Like, he starts out with, hey, I feel you. This is how I feel. I just want this whole thing to just end, and I just want to go curl up in a ball in a corner and be done with this. Like, he empathizes with them so hard, and he's human about it. And he also brings up the fact that he doesn't want to give up, because these are the people he loves and he cares for, and he doesn't want, you know, to give up, and he wants to continue to fight. And that's such a beautiful thing. And he tells people that as well, but he tells them, I don't need you to go and fight with me, like actually fight, but, you know, fight your personal battle by, you know, not giving up on this situation. Don't give up. Don't cower down. Don't let the fear take hold. Believe in us. Believe in me, and I will keep fighting, and I will not give up, essentially, is what Subaru's speech was. It was great. It was beautiful. There's so many deep layers to it, too. You know, and then at the end, he tells him his name. Like, the entire time, bro didn't even say his name until the very end, essentially, which is such a goated thing. So we get to the last episode, and then we're going to talk about the trailer, but this is really going to talk about into some of my theories, specifically the matchup, and where we're about to lead into the main content of what we've seen in part 2. So we're about to see in part 2. We haven't seen it in part 2 yet. And that's the matchups that we're going to have. So we're going to skip past all that. Roswell being sus, not really surprised that, you know, auto sus of Roswell. We're going to get past that point. It's a very, very good thing. We're going to go in order here, though, but before they go back to the room, he sees Krush, so we're going to go over this real quick. But Subaru's self-sacrifice is absolutely crazy here. Like, you can tell in that frame there for a second. I got to go back. This frame here, you can see his hand is unfazed from the healing before and after. But in this frame as well. But Subaru still goes back and to test it, and is more damaged by it, but he still wants to keep going further to help out Krush. Bro is the definition of self-sacrifice in this, like, entire anime. That's for sure. And what's crazy about that is that that's some insane character development, whether people want to agree with me or not. Like, he's not the same person he was when we first started out. And that there's nobody way somebody can disagree with me on that and argue that, because I could give so many reasons of why he's a good character and why he's changed. Whether you want to agree if he's stupid or naive or not for doing what he does, that's a different point in itself. But, you know, it's a beautiful thing to see, because you don't see it much. And, like, he's the true definition of what a hero should be, and that's to not give up on people. And, you know, he's kind of fitting that role pretty well right now. He may be weak and powerless, not really, kind of not, really. He may seem like he is, but he's not, dude. He's a tactician, and he's more of a support character. And it's great to see that they've given him good scenes here, and, like, especially Top A has really shown the payoff from what we experienced in seasons 1 and 2 of the writing in his character, and it's coming to fruition now with the characters we've been introduced with throughout seasons 1 and 2, which is great to see. We get to see how they react to Subaru. Here's that scene I was telling you about the same OST with that when he's talking about the Forbidden Art releasing the information to Subaru that, hey, this is my wife, and yada yada yada, and we know who that guy is, and they're going to talk about it in the meeting. And then this is when we get to the matchups, which we're going to talk about that real quick. So the matchups happens to be that Subaru and Reinhardt are going to go to Greed. I think that's a great call. Garfield and Wilhelm are going to go deal with Lust and the two hooded witches cultists, which is Teresia and Thurgan. I'm trying to remember his name. I'm trying to remember his name. I can't remember. But essentially, anyway, Reinhardt didn't like that. That was interesting. Wilhelm fought back a little bit. It all worked out in the end of the day. Gluttony is for Julius, which is kind of not surprising because he already fought him. And then, you know, Ricardo, which is going to be interesting because, you know, I'm wondering to myself, are they going to run into both Gluttonies or just one of them, which is just going to be Roy Alfred, I think. Maybe. We'll see. You know, and then here's where we get to one of my other theories, the last pair, which is going to be, you know, for Wrath, which is Priscilla and Liliana. My thing is, I'm almost wondering what kind of influence is Wrath going to have on Priscilla? Because is Priscilla immune to the Wrath ability? Because the reality is, I know Reinhardt isn't. When Reinhardt was in that loop fighting against Wrath, he essentially was getting angrier and angrier throughout the fight. So I'm wondering if something similar is going to happen with the Priscilla situation, or if because of Liliana being there and with her divine protection telepathy, that's not going to happen. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen and how Wrath is going to use her power or try to use her power against them, even though the people of the city have put their faith in Subaru, and theoretically speaking, that shouldn't be an issue, is the people going against him. So that being said, we're getting to probably a point where this is where we last left off, which is where the Wedding Crashers came in, they're goated, and here we are. It's been a couple months. I'm so excited. ReZero's in 2 days, and we're caught up. I have done so much rambling now, so I appreciate your time. Give me 2 seconds here. Alrighty, everybody, so going over this video, sorry, I'm going to mute that. Going over this video, just a couple frames, we can see when this looks like Lie. I'm not going to lie, this looks, I'm not going to lie, Lie is here. That looks like Lie. That does not even look like Roy, right? So I'm going to be curious if we see Roy, so I'm going to pay attention here, because I'm just doing a little bit of analysis. Of course, we get a bit of Sirius here, walking up over to them. I don't know if we've gotten subtitles yet. That'll give us more information. Nope, they haven't translated yet. I did the auto English translate, and I know that, you know, of course, because the camera pans at the sword, but, you know, Regula says something about him not pulling out his sword and gets pissed about that and kicks fucking rocks at him. Not surprising. His eyes not looking is interesting, but it kind of just also goes to show what's happening here with the situation. Or maybe kind of, I don't know, it's hard to tell. But with the fact that this guy's dead and his corpse is being manipulated, and you see a bit of Teresia here in a second. There it is. You don't get to see any of her eyes or anything like that, so I don't get to see if her eyes are bloodshot as well because her corpse is being manipulated. Rash shows up, all pissed. Here we go. Let's go a little bit further here. This is also Lie, which is interesting. This is Lie. I'm pretty sure this is Lie. Lie has like the sword knives like coming out of his like hands, his like forearms, right? Like they're knives. They're actual fucking like almost swords, like larger knives. And then like they're like mini knives on like finger knives, I guess you could say, on Roy, at least comparing the two of them. So I'm interested to see that there's Roy. So Roy is there too. So does Roy show up against, like, you know, like what happens here? Are they both going to go against both Gluttonies? Like, I'm interested to see what happens here. So, because there's two different ones. I'm almost positive both Gluttonies are going to be there in the same spot. Maybe not the same spot, but maybe split up. Who knows? Either way, one of them's going to maybe be split up, but we'll see. This will be interesting to see. Amelia looks like she's fighting back and going to be in this episode, so I'm hyped as fuck. And I'm glad they didn't show much here, because this just shows probably what we're going to see in episode 1. I'm going to be not going to lie. This probably will all happen in episode 1, which will make me happy, like episode 1 of, which is episode 9 in 2 days. I'm hoping everything we saw was just snippets from that episode. I really hope so, because I have a extension called BlockTube. Highly suggest it. I have turned it back on just now recently to block videos coming from Kadokawa and Crunchyroll, because I just do not want to see, I don't want to give them a chance of spoiling anything to me before I've seen the anime, a new episode, before I watch it. Once I watch it, I'll watch people react to it and shit like that, but I just hate seeing clips before I get home, and the fact the new anime episode for ReZero comes out Wednesday morning for me and not Wednesday evening when I watch it with friends it makes it like I need to stay away from the spoiler shit, you know, and not see even a frame. I don't want to see a frame of it personally. So going on my theories, I really do think that this season, that this part, here's my huge theory. 1, Subaru has not died since episode 2, right? If we think about it. Is Subaru going to die again? I'm going to bank on no. I don't think Subaru will die again, but if we want to be realistic going by ReZero, it's possible he will reset 1 or 2 more times, and that's it. Like, he'll die 2 more times maybe, and that's about it. I don't think they're going to go crazy with it. You know, I don't know what to expect, but I do think that he won't die as much, at least in this arc, because the way the arc is written, it just feels like the death doesn't really play into the writing, right? Like, it really doesn't, at least for this season. I don't know how to really describe it, but the way a lot of the death was played into the writing in prior arcs, it made sense, because it was giving us more exposition and plot and information to further the arc story and reaching its conclusion. Death hasn't really done that in this entire season yet, actually. That's the funny thing. Because Subaru died only a couple times and we only got like a little bit of information. The funny thing is, when Subaru died, we only got information about Wrath. That was it. We only learned a little bit of what the capability of what Wrath's abilities are, but we didn't even learn all of it because we didn't learn all of Wrath's abilities till Amelia and her fought. That's when you really saw even more of Wrath's abilities, because of her fire ability, her fire magic, because you didn't really see her fire magic before. She didn't even use her fire magic against Reinhardt, I think. I don't think she even did. She kind of knew she was screwed, so it didn't look like she really put much of a fight against Reinhardt. And Reinhardt just goaded like that. Also, Reinhardt makes all mana in the atmosphere obey around him, so, you know, maybe she can't even use her magic. I have no idea. The reality is that I think that the way the story is written, I don't think Subaru is going to die probably at all in this arc. Maybe. I might be wrong, but we'll see. I'm interested to see how it's going to play out. I'm really hoping that this is going to, you know, be a good ending to this arc. I'm extremely excited for Arc 6 because I've always heard that this is the best written arc in ReZero, and it's highly regarded as one of the best. I've heard Arc 7's good too. You know, I've heard a lot of other arcs some people enjoy. I've heard people like Arc 3 over anything they've seen so far, which is fair. I mean, you can like different things, but you know, I'm interested to see why people like Arc 6 more. I can see why people like Arc 5 a lot, because I see people say Arc 5 is one of their favorites too. I'm liking it a lot, but I don't think I like it as much as Season 2 yet, but there's not enough information given to me yet to even want to make that decision yet, so I don't think that's a fair comparison. That being said, I'm extremely ready for ReZero. I hope you are too. This video will probably be coming out maybe, oh boy. It might not even come out till Tuesday night, if not Wednesday morning, before I release the new episode Wednesday night. If it comes out Wednesday night. The reality is that my editing schedule is going to be a little wonky. This one's going to be more uncut, so it probably will just be easier to upload, actually, so I might actually be able to get it up, you know, Tuesday morning. It depends. I'm going to try to crank this out here in 30 minutes. I have a strict schedule I'm trying to stay to and be consistent, so I'll explain that more later in another future video. Thank you guys for listening to me ramble. I'm sorry. There's all of my just like ramblings and theories and I'm scatterbrained. This is really unscripted. So yeah, that being said, I'm looking forward to this Wednesday to blind react to that new episode. It's going to be so good. I can already just feel it coming. So many people say that every episode in the upcoming in this arc is going to be like 10 out of 10 every episode. And I'm excited to see that. I'm really excited because I really feel like the build-up that they've done, it could probably easily achieve that. So we'll see. Alrighty, guys. I will see you guys on Wednesday. You guys take it easy. Have a good one. Bye-bye.